With the assistance of Awards for All, lottery community funding, we produced a cultural identity and community cohesion through the project Incredible Cultures in order to promote and celebrate the heritage and traditions of refugee, asylum seekers and migrant workers that have found their home in Sheffield. Through workshop activities, we have engaged with several groups from Somalia, Sudan, Iran, Eritrea, Congo, Zimbabwe, Ghana and Roma. We've supported these cultural groups and initiated leadership by providing a platform for each to engage, empowered cultural leaders to initiate group social and artistic activities, as well as promote their heritage at the Cultural Heritage Day at the end of the project. During interviews, we recorded the accounts of groups who described their heritage and traditions. The heritage and artifacts were in turn presented at a cultural day with an audience drawn from the wider community. This film presents highlights of such activities and aims to inform and raise awareness about global cultural linkages. A visual celebration and promotion of diversity geared towards an international and interfaith cultural understanding.
Our project is called Durban Association. We finally got the chance to share the skills, and in terms of integration, to share the skills of British, if you like, British Caucasian women and other British migrant communities from East Africa. In particular, the Somali community from all sections of Somalia regions. What this project has done is that first we had the older women, and then slowly but surely they brought their daughters. They normally never had this kind of working together interaction, and they never had the chance to teach them anything that their mother told them. It made it absolutely possible for them to kind of think up ideas and come up with things that they always had in their head. They've known it. They've done it before when they were younger women preparing for marriage. But then moving and migrating kind of made them lose all that, and then it's something that we kind of like, it's waking somebody up, if you like. They don't usually have crafts in their hands unless somebody asks them to do it. This is the first time that we made these proper nomadic, semi-pastoralist artifacts. The house is made by the women from scratch. So all the branches, all the skeleton of the house, if you take all the other materials that drape it, all the drapes, that's made by the women. But there's a skill involved, bending it to make it round house, because the Somali houses are round. And all the things that go inside the house also correspond to the needs of the family, so things can be folded so they can actually move, because they are nomadic. Nothing is imported in a perfectly nomadic Somali families in the nomadic lands. But then because of the war, people who are living in the urbanized areas moved back to making makeshift homes that kind of resemble the nomadic houses and survive still living in those. So having that skill even helped the refugees when they came back and have lost their houses, to actually kind of tap into that knowledge. So what we did here in Sheffield is, if we're providing material, British growth material, we used willow, the thickest willow we can, and they are making one of the walls, basically we call it one of the walls of the house. So bit by bit, I think what they're looking forward to doing is actually building a Somali house here in Sheffield. Wow. And that's what they, the idea that they get is they say, well, we can make small things, but we can also make big things if we have the material. It's quite amazing how they actually look at things and say, we can make that from that, and then if we provide it, they make it. It's answering to social isolation, social problems, developmental issues, and also language skills, where people always think language is a barrier, but for people who actually are artists and craft workers, the language you need is the skill that you have in your hand, and then it's encouraging for them to talk to some of the people we're working with who don't speak Somali at all. So it's quite good, really, to get everybody's skills acknowledged and appreciated and worked with. And we came up with a piece of one of the many things they made. One was something that most families have in their homes, even in the urban and rural homes. And that's a shell that houses the clothes the incense goes into. So it's this whole thing, no one can get it from this country unless you import it. But we made it available for them to make it with British grown materials. And we also have side to it where a sculptor who could actually bend the steel and work with that made a steel version of that. So to bring the intercultural weaving, we would like to continue this, because what we're looking into now is not just building that, working towards doing the house, is to make sure that we have a lot more artists and craft workers who can come from different communities to work with us, and that kind of will be really quite great. If we're now speaking to the Eritrean community to see if they can come in to the next phase of the project and can do wood carving. If they can do wood carving, then they could. We need some more support. We'll try and get some more support. But it looks like we had calls from some other artists in London who said, if you need us to raise money with you, we will do that. So it would be quite good to get that. Can I just say thank you very much, Nola, for helping us and putting together putting us in touch with many people, and Ed Thatcher and Angus from the Sheffield Forestry team have been absolutely brilliant. The City Council helped us a lot.
We started just as a friend kind of gathering, and over the years the idea grew up, and we network with many other organizations. We work with different institutions in Sheffield, and we started to campaign for human rights issues, campaign for asylum seekers, and also we have been involved in many cultural activities in Sheffield. So Africa Time is basically aiming to support the integration of Africans living in Sheffield. Africa Time is aiming to promote fairness, but as well to address issues of poverty in sub-Saharan Africa.
Many of us have been through that process, and that's how the idea of addressing within our community that issue of language barrier came, because we don't want to see those who are coming after us to struggle the way we did struggle with the language.
We appreciate the fact that there is today a lot of English courses that are not longer running because of different cuts in the voluntary sector. but there is still organizations such as Learn for Life who provide free English courses, and we always encourage members of the community to get engaged with those kind of short courses and to improve the language, because really you can't feel home unless you speak the language of the place where you are. So we're targeting a different kind of activity, of cultural activity, educational activity, and we also would like to be promoting entrepreneurship, because that part of Africa has been really affected by poverty over the last few years. And most of the policies that has been in place has pretty much has been working as the aid kind of relief activities, but we want to empower local communities so they can get involved in entrepreneurship and be able to become sustainable.
So the aim was to raise awareness of what is going on there, how it's a genocide taking place, but people are just going about their daily business as if Congolese, we are not a people, as if Congolese, we don't have the right to live. Personally, it was that anger within myself to see what multinationals are doing. And the international community is aware of that. The international community, at some extent, I might be wrong, maybe is supportive, but is keeping quiet.
We feel that the situation in Congo is now well known by local people. At the time where we started, only few people knew exactly the nature of the crisis in Congo, which wasn't just trouble as the media was portraying that, but it was a crisis of greed, a crisis of mineral resources, and nearly 6 million people died as a result of that crisis. A genocide has taken place, a new kind of genocide. It has been described as a sexual genocide because of the number of women who have been raped during the war. From there, we also organized a film screening at the City Council Library, where we projected a documentary called Silent Genocide in the Congo. And many professionals and members of the community in Sheffield came in and discussed after the film screening about different actions that can be taken in order to stop what was going on in Congo. And actually many petitions were signed and many people took the matter in hand, wrote to the local MPs. And the result is not yet what really we expected, but at least progress started to be made. We recognize today that an attention needs to be made on the political issue, because surely the humanitarian crisis in Congo is only the consequence of the political crisis. And we would love to see a lot of pressure being made, not only to the Congolese government, but also to all the governments, African governments who have been involved in the war. Also, we want the OECD, the economic organization, to take more responsibility in regulating international cooperation and doing business in war zone country. We want all those measures to be put in place so that politically a move can be made, and that can bring about hope to the humanitarian challenges.
We can't call it freedom. We can't call it freedom. And even our presence here, shall we say we are happy? In one sense, yes, we are out of war zone, but in the other sense, there is no place like home. We were blessed with a very rich country in all means. It's not our people that can be scattered all over the world, or those who stay back home, they cannot stop. But due to what is going on, it's even difficult for farmer in a village to do his work peacefully, grow the crops and live his small life in peace. And you find them starving, though having the soil that can produce anything.
Afrani will sin ye. Pulo beso pulo, pulo beso pulo, pulo. Kukala na mami ko, ado foli jenta de kam debo. Banyalo ibotari. Jengo hirani